Thank you for joining us to Talk More on Monday. This podcast was started to give a voice to More's mission of making opportunities reachable for everyone, and continues today as a way for us to share the mic with like-minded individuals with their own stories to share. Talking More has become our channel for history, mindsets, information you need, and featuring a lot of our team and interns who are learning how to share their voice as they get started in their careers. Join us over on our Patreon for our masterclass with More, hosted by Bria Bradley, as she dives deeper with experts on a host of topics key to building your business and legacy. You'll find our founder content hosted by me as well as part of our masterclass, where business owners share the lessons they've learned while in business. We are super excited to be refocusing our Patreon this year to be a tool and resource for small business owners, dreamers, side hustlers, and those who are seeking more in a very intentional way. So please join us there. We are pumped, and we have a whole lineup of experts that we're excited to share time with. So with that, let's talk more today with Andrew Painchaud. Hi, Andrew.
Hi, Arianna.
So formal. Last year, we brought my husband on to talk more about how we're building a life and a business together. And he returns this year to reshare a bit more about our partnered mindset as we've grown together in 2025. If you don't have the lovely pleasure of knowing him, it's important to know that in addition to being the first husband of More, he brings several years of experience, creativity, and a deep understanding of the market, not only to his role at the agency Indy, where he serves on the Maverick Group, specializing in helping clients upsize, build their investment portfolios, and making financially strategic moves in real estate throughout the greater Indianapolis area and surrounding suburbs. He also co-owns 2 additional real estate-focused businesses. His journey into real estate began with building and managing our own portfolio of investment properties as we started Echo Investments and Properties a couple years back. This experience gave him a unique lens through which he helps clients now see not just homes, but opportunities, whether that means maximizing value when selling, identifying creative solutions to meet financial goals, or finding the perfect next step as their needs evolve. He loves that real estate allows him to solve meaningful problems for people, leveraging his expertise to guide clients through what is often the largest purchase or sale of their lives. When you work with Andrew, and I can personally attest to this, you'll find a strategic thinker, a dedicated advocate, and a partner committed to helping you reach your goals. Andrew, welcome back to More.
And thank you so much for having me back. All very nice things you said there. Not under duress, I hope, but
the cue card is right here, so I'm being told what to say.
No, it's good to be back. I'm looking forward to this.
I've been so excited to have you back on. Last year was the first year we welcomed men onto the podcast, and it was very fun to have you be the first one to join. I think as you've gotten to see me build this business officially, we're past the 5-year mark, which is incredible. You've grown so much in your entrepreneurial journey. I think when we first started dating, you had a lot of these ideas, and you are so multi-passionate that I was really excited to see what you dove into, because I think your diverse background brings so much holistic thought of how markets intersect with one another, and how when you build, you can build with multiple purposes. And so talking about a year ago, we talked about what it had been like for us to build a business together while we were also building a life. We had just hit a year of marriage, and I feel like the rate at which we have been growing and building has slowed down exactly 0%. In the last year, you've joined a new brokerage, you are building your own career in real estate, and you joined with a business partner to establish Irv Property Group with a focus in Irvington real estate, as well as learning how to care for a home, how to renovate, and just a number of different skills. How has your mindset grown in the last 12 months, especially as you've endeavored in these new businesses on your own?
I think the mindset has been shifting from, a state of, first of all, being unafraid to take the leap in general. I mean, that's the hardest first step, right? That's the biggest step, is just doing it. It's not about, you don't have to have a perfect battle plan. You don't have to know everything before you go into it. You're going to learn through the experience, right? And so the mindset shift has gone from just having the courage to really just have that leap of faith and that trust in yourself, to more of now it's really leaning into it and doubling down and committing. So it's a process of, obviously evaluating what went right, what went wrong, what could I be doing better, or, what did I do well, and it's that, and figuring out what you're doing well, whether it's a niche that you're in or a specific sector or, whatever it is, but, really leaning into that and trusting yourself that you're on the right path, and it's not going to be instant overnight success. But you can start to see these small wins stacking up. And for me, that's been one of the biggest things this year, has been, as I have completely fully invested myself into our business, into my new businesses. That's been the best part, really, is just trusting that you are you're following through on the mission.
I think, to your point, that can be the hardest part, is trusting yourself. And I'm going a little off script here because we've been talking so much about celebrating those small wins. And I think that can be really hard when you are in this stage of, I'm taking this leap of faith, I'm building. What has that been like for you, especially, I would say, in the past, specifically 6 months of making time to celebrate all that you've done, which I know isn't easy for anyone. I feel like we have to force ourselves sometimes to say, I just did that and I'm so proud of it. And how does that set me up for the next thing? Because I think there's so much introspection that comes with being an entrepreneur that I did not anticipate. So before I go any further, what has that been like, making yourself sit in those wins and really celebrate them?
And it's really great that you asked that, because that's something that we've talked about multiple times with my team lead, myself, and the other leaders at the brokerage, is that you have to celebrate those wins. It's so important. Obviously, you're not getting, above your station, right? But it's, for myself as a competitive person, played sports growing up, but also just, you want to latch onto the things that you're good at, and it makes you uncomfortable to go after the things that you're not good at. And so that disparity in how you're feeling about what you're doing, when you've only hit these first little baby steps in your new journey, you're used to being able to perform in a totally different capacity. And so you can't compare those two levels of success. And so for me, that's been something that I've been working on, is, you celebrate those wins, because again, that's what you want to lean into. You don't want to keep thinking about, I don't belong here, I don't know what I'm doing in this space. It's, that's what's going to grind you down. And so just taking a little bit of time, not too much, a little bit of time, right?
A happy hour.
Or two. But just, thinking about it, again, little introspection, but don't think on it too long, because there is a next step to go, and there is more growth through those wins, just like there's growth through your, I don't want to say losses, but you know what I'm saying? It's, you make mistakes, or something doesn't go as planned. You don't want to focus on those too much either, but those wins are important, because that's that buzz you're going to chase again and again and again. And so that's what keeps you wanting to get to that next level.
Definitely. And I think on the last 3 mindset podcasts I've been recording, I've referenced Ali Abdallah's Feel Good Productivity, because he says failure is a data point. Yeah. And so not failure or loss or whatever it is, but I even think back to when we were first getting started in Echo Investments and Properties, and we were really excited. We were hungry. Obviously, we were putting offers in on houses and not getting every single one, because we were learning. And I think a lot of those, I say rejections very lightly here, but it was more of a redirection, because then we realized, okay, so maybe we don't want to keep renting single family. Maybe we want to focus more on multifamily. And I'm thinking of the Butler house that had the 4 bedrooms. It was a great space. But thinking about how those misses, or whatever you want to call them, points us in another direction, because then we ended up getting 2 duplexes shortly after that. And so that's a totally different route we went, and we had that chance to do this autopsy of sorts of, okay, that didn't work, what will work, what best serves us if this isn't going to serve us. And I love that, yes, celebrating the wins, and then taking what you've learned from how you won and applying that to the next step and living in it and taking it with you. But I think sometimes we can be so stuck in, I say stuck and that sounds negative and I don't mean it to, but you can be maybe more like molasses, and you are praising all the things that you've done. And I know for me, I get so nervous to do something after I do something really great. And it's this silly paradox of sorts, because it's, wow, I knocked this out of the park. How do I do that again?
Mm-hmm.
And so I love that you've had your team lead, Colleen, and just different support groups to help say, this is awesome, you can do it again, and going back to that trust in yourself and confidence in replicating it and just growing from it, because that's the exciting and fun part. That's where I get a lot of energy from.
Yeah, and that's we're again kind of referencing that you don't gain that kind of insight until you're just actually willing to get your hands dirty in whatever it is you're pursuing.
Mm-hmm.
So starting a small business, working for yourself, real estate, or any field, I just feel like it's something where you really gotta get in it, and then that's how you're gonna grow through that experience.
100%. And I think about this often because we're a couple who cohabitate, who are in business together, who are also pursuing businesses separately from one another. And so I'm no longer only one thing for you, and you are no longer only one thing for me in my life. And so what has it been like, not only growing the folks you are also doing business with, but growing in how you do business with yourself in this bigger, expanded way?
I'll say for me, not having any experience as an entrepreneur, that's been the toughest, or one of, at least. It's I haven't really had that desire before these last several years to pursue this and really bet on myself like you have. I mean, you've been doing this for several years now, and it's been amazing to see that growth. But very, very fortunate to have Colleen, Bhavna, my own mother, who was an entrepreneur and had her own business. It's building a support network is not just having friends that you can vent to. That's important, absolutely. But providing value to others, and then when you need to lean on them, you're going to have your own little crew in your corner who are going to be there. You can call them, text them, go meet with them in person, but they're going to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be fair with you, but they're also going to build you up. And so not leaning on you as much has been part of this journey for me, because when we started our business, you were helping with the admin and the back end, and you still do in some capacity, but I've been trying to shift that away from you and figure out my own systems, that I develop that and I incorporate that into my wheelhouse. So that's just another shade of like the character growth and their personal development that I've had to go through. But having that support network is crucial, because as you lean on them, but then you gain that strength yourself by absorbing what others around you are already doing. So having that circle, crucial.
Absolutely. And I think that's something that a lot of entrepreneurs, founders, small business owners almost miss in the beginning, because mentally you are starting this thing on your own. You are taking this leap of faith. You are pursuing the life that you want through entrepreneurship. And it can be very lonely, but it doesn't have to be. And recognizing that while you are building something that is entirely yours, you also have people to lean on. And there are people who've done it before who can support you through it and share their expertise, share their wisdom. I would be remiss if I didn't throw in an extra plug for the masterclass, where we are literally talking with people who have done this before and learning from them through their lessons. So again, we'll include the link below, but it's something that I think can be really overlooked. And I'm so grateful that as I was getting started, I got really plugged in with Indie Maven, and being able to go into a space where other women were also building the plane while we were flying it, to have candid conversations of, so I'm coming up on my first tax season. What do you recommend for a young lady like me looking to stay out of jail? So I've loved getting to grow that network and ask questions that I feel like I shouldn't ask, but should is one of the words that I like to remove from my vocabulary, because should, whatever. What could I do? Not what should I do? What could I do? And so, thinking about even what we could do together and in our lives, we're getting ready after this recording to plan and plot out not only our 2026, but a 5-year plan, as we both just have really big dreams and shit we're excited to do together and pursue. And it's my favorite time of the year because of that. Is there an area that you are most excited to focus on?
I don't know if it's a specific area, but almost aiming higher. Like,
ooh, okay.
It's something where, again, going back to just assuming that whatever it is I'm doing it because I'm already good at it. And now completely out of that space and, just always trying to grow and learn while I'm still, relatively speaking, newer on the scene, I suppose. But, when I was talking about my career goals that I wanted to set for this year, and I was doing my business planning for both of my businesses, I was going through that, and I kind of mentioned it to you the other day, but I moved up my goal because I thought, I set a goal that I thought, I would be happy if I hit this. But that's almost so like small-minded. It's like, set a goal that it's, maybe I won't hit. But it's like, it's so cliche, but you shoot for the stars, land on the moon. I mean, it's set a goal where that's something where if you look back, you'd be, God, I'd just be ecstatic, And so I'm going to fight like hell to achieve that goal. But I had to kind of move the bar up a little bit and kind of reevaluate, let's, as we double down, as we commit, as we reinvest into ourselves, the original goal would have been great. I would have been happy. But that's not where my bar is now, So dreaming bigger and talking about a 5-year goal gives you a little bit, obviously a bigger time horizon.
Right.
But if I can just rewind just the last couple years for myself personally, I mean, it's already exponential. So if you know what an exponential graph looks like, that's not, it's the opposite of linear, right? It's you got to look bigger and dream bigger, but also bet on yourself that much more.
I love that. And I think, too, when you were saying earlier that you've had to move out of your comfort zone, I think when you are uncomfortable, that's when you're growing. And so providing yourself a challenge of knowing this is a big goal and I feel like I can do it. So why not push a little harder? Why not force myself into this scenario where I have to learn new skills, leverage my abilities in different ways? I love that. I'm so excited. Good thing I wrote things in pencil so that way I can maybe raise my bar a little bit more when we start chatting. But I love to hear that. I'm so excited because I didn't know what you were going to say to that question. I'm so excited. So clearly I love this time of year, and I've made everyone do the Wheel of Life exercise from Ali Abdaal's book, Feel Good Productivity, and I'm just obsessed with it. I think that Wheel of Life really gave me this holistic view of how I've been spending my time and where I've been most successful in the last year. And it was honestly very eye-opening to me because as I was going through it, I think it's very hard to have all of these different sections at 100%. If you're at 100%, then maybe you found a way to freeze time and have other abilities that the rest of us mortals are still trying to figure out. And so when we went through that exercise, I had shared with you that I feel like I have grown so much professionally, mentally, in my mindset and how I think about things, in my career, how I serve my community, how I show up for my family, in so many different ways this year. But I realized in looking at it, I have lost sight of what rest means for me, and that you and I also did not get to spend as much time together just being, whereas we spent a lot of time together in community and supporting folks. And similarly with my friends, we were at a lot of things together, but I didn't feel like I got to pour into them as much as I realized I poured into other areas of my life. And so for me, I'm most excited this year to not totally reprioritize my time, but balance my time better so that I can find what rest means to me, so that I can pour into us as life partners and not just business partners, and having more opportunities to show up for my friends. Because I think we have a freaking phenomenal friend group. We call, they show up, and it is, just had no idea how loved you could be by a family that isn't blood family. And so I've loved getting to find that as we've grown up too, and as we enter different stages of life. After you did that Wheel of Life, and we did it with my brother too, was there anything that surprised you as you looked back at how your time and efforts had been spent? And have any of those realizations shaped how you want to spend your time and efforts in the year ahead?
I don't know that I was surprised by it, but it's one of those things until you kind of draw that out, you don't think about it as much. Mm-hmm. So having a graph of sorts, because it kind of comes out like that. It's a circle, right? It's a wheel, right? So
yeah. That's a graph, right? Right?
We'll move on from that. But having that graphic visualization mm-hmm. of how your time has been spent and how you're feeling about how that time has been spent, it definitely just obviously paints a picture of what's going on. So the way that I learn, and that kind of data set is invaluable to me, but I wasn't surprised by how it came out. Going forward, I think that's something where when we talk about these goals, 1 year, 5 years, whatever it is, mm-hmm. And you try to say, this is how I want my life to be. You try to visualize that life. What does that life look like? When you incorporate all the facets of the Wheel of Life into that, where what I marked versus where I want that reading to be at. Mm-hmm. How do I reverse engineer the systems and processes, how I live my life on a daily basis? This is the goal. You work backwards from that mm-hmm. to say, how am I going to get there? So it's not just, blindly taking a step forward in a random direction. Mm-hmm. You have a game plan because of that. So it's made me think about that a lot more, which I thought was really nice. And so for me, that was something that was easy for me to latch onto. And the feel-good productivity, I know we talked about that like 10 times already just in this little conversation. But
not sponsored by.
Not on commission. But we just read that a couple months ago. Mm-hmm. And that was a profound read because, and I think that really ties into, obviously, that was where the Wheel of Life exercise came from that we were doing. Mm-hmm. But the concept of, feeling good first, mm-hmm. the success follows that. Obviously a core tenet of the book, but wow. I mean, that's why am I chasing the success and hoping that feeling good comes after that? Mm-hmm. It's putting the cart before the horse, right? And so for me, thinking about that while I was doing the Wheel of Life exercise, but then again, you're doing the reverse engineering and saying, well, I need to feel good first. So focus on the things also that just build you up. Mm-hmm. So for me, that's been, making sure my body's getting exercise on a daily basis. Mm-hmm. Huge. Taking time for yourself in the morning. We've been having tea together.
I love it. We've made inspired by Steve and Beth Price with their morning coffee and ganache. I think I'm saying that right.
I have no idea what that word is.
I think it means conversation in French. No one fact check that. But I love that we've done that. Sorry, I don't mean, I think I've told like 10 people about that. And I think we're only on day 8.
It's maybe a week, 2 weeks most, and again, that's just like one of those things where we just kind of mentally set ourselves for the day. Mm-hmm. Maybe we talk about stuff in our days, or maybe we just talk about something silly, mm-hmm. whatever it is that happens at 7:00 in the mornings in our brain. Yeah. So that's been really nice, but just that intentionality and setting yourself up.
I think the intentionality is key there because we started doing that when we realized how busy our schedules have been. And we both are in fields where we are networking a lot, which requires a lot of evenings and a lot of full days. And the expression, I don't have time, gags me. I can't, ever since I had the mindset shift of it's not that you don't have time, it's that you don't make time. I just have this gross reflex now whenever I hear people say that, because you get to choose the life you live, for better, for worse, whatever that looks like, to the degrees that you can control it, but you choose what you make time for. And when I did that Wheel of Life exercise, recognizing that I did not pour into us as much as I'd wanted to. And then looking at our calendar and being like, I don't know what this looks like. I don't know how. And recognizing that our mornings are normally most consistently open. We just have to wake up earlier to do that together. I love one that you're also becoming a morning person with me, because I'm obsessed with my mornings now. I know you used to wake up way earlier than me. We won't get into that. But I know, like 2 or 3 hours earlier than I would get up. But I love that we have said we are getting the rest that we need, that we don't need to be excessive about it, and we have enough rest that we can pour into each other in the morning before we start our days. Because that wasn't easy necessarily. It's something we have to choose to pursue, but we get to choose to pursue it. And I love to...
We get to pursue it.
We get to pursue it. And I love that also from the book, changing your mindset and whatnot. But I love that you touched on feeling good comes first, because I think historically and maybe societally, we expect productivity to be a grind. And while it requires work and energy and effort, it doesn't have to feel bad. You don't have to feel exhausted after being productive. And I think similar to feeling good first to be productive and feeling good about being productive is very similar to this idea of money buys happiness, where you can kind of choose what that really looks like. And I won't take us too far down that rabbit hole, but I think especially as we've gotten married and we've combined some of our finances and looked at the goals that we have for ourselves and the things we want to pursue that are part of the life we want to live, and money is a part of that, it doesn't mean that it's the end all be all, but it's being strategic about it so that money isn't a stressor and it's not our sole source of happiness, but it supports the lives that we want to live. That's not a question. That was just a response to what you said, because I love that dialogue, and I don't know, kicking that stereotype, stigma, whatever it is, that you have to feel bad when you're being productive. It's just so silly. Like, after I heard it, after I read it, it was so profound, and I was like, oh, well, duh.
Yeah. Well, and it feels like it's like working out almost. You might be physically tired, but I always feel better after it. I'm like, I don't want to get back on the treadmill again. I just got off that, or whatever it is you're doing. And, but that success shouldn't be, like you said, it shouldn't be grinding you down. Like you should feel some type of boost from that, as opposed to, gosh, I hope I don't have to do that again. It's so, yeah. Like you were saying.
So a couple times now we've invited our listening podcast community and those tuning in from YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, wherever you might be finding us, to join us on our Patreon for our masterclass. We have curated this list of interviews from experts in finance and bookkeeping and pitching, grants, funding, all the things that it takes to build a business, as well as the lessons that are learned from it. And so as we think about this education and growing your confidence in making your own opportunities reachable for yourself, what advice would you have to this class of entrepreneurs and side hustlers, dreamers, go-getters, small business owners as they are pursuing the life they want?
I guess just because it's fresh in my mind from doing all my business planning with Colleen and Bhavna, but I kind of just expressed this feeling that while I did feel like I had a good, I feel like I did well.
You did do very well, if I may say so.
But if you're looking at yourself in the mirror, I just knew there's probably a little bit more that I, didn't leave it all out on the field, so to speak. And I guess that's something that I don't want to be able to say this time next year. I want to be able to say that I did leave it all out on the field, and that I did everything in my power, in my situation, in my control, that I really gave it my all. And so whatever that success looks like, that's exactly what I deserve. And really, really just think about that. Thinking about your why. Why are you doing what you're doing? Something I've had to spend a lot of time thinking about lately. But again, just you have people, mentors, your support network, whatever it is, you want to be able to tell them that you really did give it your all. And by that, you're kind of showing appreciation to them because they're taking time to help you. They want to see you. They want to see you win. They want to see you hit that goal, whatever it is. And just, knowing that you gave it your all is also just the biggest way to say thank you to them too.
That's awesome. I love not only it being your success, but the success of those who have poured into you. That's fantastic. For our community listening, what is the best way that we can follow, keep up with you, and learn more about building wealth through real estate, finding your next home, your next opportunity? What's the best way to get in touch with you?
You can get in touch with me on Instagram, Andrew Painchaud, and email Andrew Painchaud at theagencyre.com.
Awesome. And we'll include those in the show notes below. Andrew, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time when we talk more.